Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Today, for reading, I'm going to read you chapter 5 of The Case of the Stolen Sculpture. And if you remember, when we left off, the kids had met a new character named Judy, and she was giving them kind of a tour of the security area. So they got to look at the cameras, but they decided that they were going to retrace Clementine's steps since she had been at the museum on Tuesday, and they were headed toward the Hopper Museum. So that's where we are going to begin chapter 5. So chapter 5 is called Retracing. So remember, when you retrace your steps, you just kind of go back to the same places you went to. You almost kind of go through the motions of even doing the things that you did, just to make sure that you didn't miss anything. So chapter 5 is Retracing. The friends walk through the art museum, a 3-story building with exhibits and halls piled upon each other. They pass through the Chinese figure painting exhibit, the Persian pottery hall, the third-floor tea room, and Amal's favorite exhibit, the Hall of Glass Art. The pieces in there, most of them small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, glittered like jewels in the sunlight. So I'm going to give you a minute to think of what type of figurative language that is. Those pieces glittered like jewels. If you said simile, give yourself a pat on the back. Nice job. The Hopper exhibit is in the next room, Clementine said, passing through the sunlit room of glass pieces and into a darker chamber beyond. In there, the paintings were lit with spotlights mounted above them. I sat right there, Clementine said, pointing to a pair of wooden benches stationed back to back in the center of the room. She walked over and took a seat, facing a painting labeled "The House by the Railroad." Her friends trailed after her. "How long did you sit here?" Wilson asked. "All morning?" Clementine nodded. "Right through till lunchtime," she said. I. No, wait a minute. I got a cup of tea. I had to clear my head and think about Hopper's use of light and shadow. She shook her head mournfully. It was so hard to duplicate with my pencils. I mean, it would have been hard with paint, too, I suppose. "Stay on track, Clementine," Amal said. "Let's retrace your steps to the tea room." Everyone followed Clementine back through the Hall of Glass Art and into the Persian Pottery Hall. She immediately turned left and stepped into a little sunlit cafe. The tea room boasted 5 little tables and 10 chairs. A pair of little trees, perfectly pruned so they looked like lollipops, flanked the counter at the back. "Hi, kids," said Alyssa, the woman working the counter. "Cup of tea, Clementine, or fritter today? The apple ones are still warm." "Ooh," said Clementine, taking a step toward the counter. Wilson grabbed her. "No snacks," he said. "We're working a case, remember?" "Fine," Clementine said. "Alyssa, you were here when I came in yesterday. Do you remember anything weird happening?" Alyssa shook her head. "Nope, it was a normal day," she said. "I saw you around 10 o'clock. You and that woman who was here. Yeah, you and that woman who was here when you came in were my only customers until lunchtime." "Woman?" Amal said. "What woman?" Alyssa shrugged. "No one important, just some woman." Raining turned to Clementine. "Do you remember her?" he asked. "Let's see," Clementine said. "I walked in. I had my eyes on my drawing. I couldn't stop thinking about the windows on the left side of the house. They look like tired, crazy eyes. It's really very—" "Stay on track, Clemmy," Wilson said. "Oh, right," Clementine said. "Well, my eyes were on the paper, so I bumped into someone. I said, 'Excuse me,' but she got very irritated." "Right," Alyssa said, nodding. "That was her. I'd forgotten about that. She almost dropped her package." "Did she?" Clementine asked. "Yup," Alyssa said. "She'd been telling me about it right before you came in. She said she bought it down in the gift shop as a gift for her son. Very fragile." "How big was it?" Amal asked. Alyssa mimed like she was holding a box approximately a foot wide and 2 feet high. Amal said. "The statue of Gudea was here on the third floor, right?" "Right," Clementine confirmed. "In the Mesopotamian collection." "And the gift shop is down off the lobby," Wilson said. "But the woman came back up here just for a cup of tea?" "And an apple fritter," Alyssa added. "They really are very good." "Next stop, gift shop," Wilson said. Raining laughed. "That rhymes." To get to the gift shop, the kids passed through the same galleries again, went down a set of stairs, passed through 4 more galleries, and then went down another set of stairs to the lobby. "You can't convince me that woman walked all this way twice," Amal said. no matter how good the apple fritters are. And while carrying that fragile gift for her son, Wilson added, sure doesn't seem likely. One of the museum's volunteers, most of them residents from the nearby senior apartments, sat behind the gift shop counter when they walked in. Hi, Mrs. Malinowski, Clementine said. There's our resident artist, the elderly woman said with a smile. She got up from the stool she'd been sitting on. They've stuck me in the gift shop today. Clementine knew that many of the volunteers had very clear preferences for where they worked each day. Mrs. Malinowski liked working in the Greek and Roman exhibit. She loved answering questions. She once told Clementine she'd studied ancient art in college back in the 1950s. She'd been one of the first women to enroll at her school. Were you stuck here yesterday morning too? Clementine asked. Nope, said Mrs. Malinowski as she came around the counter. Yesterday was Tuesday. I have a standing appointment at the Floral Estates hair salon every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Do you know who was here yesterday morning then? Wilson asked. We want to ask them something. Let's see, said Mrs. Malinowski. She picked up a clipboard from the counter and ran her finger down the list of volunteers who'd signed in and out that week. Looks like it was that old grouch, Mr. Saunders. Do you know if he's volunteering in the museum today? Wilson asked. Oh, he's here most days, Mrs. Malinowski said. Mr. Carbony would know where. He's in charge of us volunteers. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Malinowski, said Clementine. You kids wouldn't be nosing around for any particular reason, would you? Mrs. Malinowski asked. She gave them a pointed look over the top of her glasses. Maybe investigating a certain theft? We're staying out of trouble, Clementine promised. Because if you are investigating, the old woman went on, I have a tip for you. That troublemaker, Ruthie Rothschild, was here all morning yesterday. Ruthie? The four friends said together. Wait a minute, Amal said. How do you know? You weren't here. Oh, we gossip after suppers down at the Floral Estates, Mrs. Malinowski said. My good friend Janice worked on the third floor. She saw that girl and two of her friends snickering and whispering all over the place. So that's where that chapter ends. So we're going to be making a bulleted list of clues and suspects again. So on this side, it says, what new clues did you read about in this chapter? So remember that almost everything is a clue, but I would say to jot down maybe at least 3 different things, maybe 4 things that jump out at you that you think might be important. And then on this side, it says list all possible suspects from the beginning of the book until now. So even if maybe now you're suspecting somebody totally different because you learned some new names in this chapter, don't forget about the other ones before, because we want to suspect everybody all the way up until the end. Okay. After that, the only other thing you have to do is a Flipgrid video for our friend Nevaeh V. It is her birthday on Sunday, so we want to make sure we wish her a happy birthday. You can tell her how much you miss her and just wish her a happy day. Okay, hope you guys have an awesome Friday and an even better weekend, and then we will talk again on Monday.